Hey, Nick from 9 Card TCG, and today we are stripping, we're not, well, no, not like that. We are just gonna get straight into the video, and what I really wanted to take a minute to talk about first was knowing when to scoop a game. I played a game recently at my locals. It's a best of one. A lot of league cups or league challenges, the Swiss portion might be best of one, and if they're best of three, knowing when to scoop is super, super important. But in a best of one, you really might as well play it out. So I'm going to show you some gameplay where it looks absolutely dire for me from turn one, but somehow managed to turn it around and win the game. Spoilers, I know I win crazy, but you'll have to see just for yourself how it happens. And why don't we just get straight to the video? Fist pump means the game is underway. I start with a Sableye. I get to go first. My opponent's starting a Mew. And I have nothing. It is absolutely insane how nothing. I mean, I guess I could have Pokegeared, but I decided not to. There's really no reason. I'm not going to be able to get a supporter. And I want to keep the Pokegear for if they do go ahead and do something to disrupt my hand. A lot of Mew lists are playing, like, a couple of Judges and Path to the Peak. So I want to try to keep the stuff that I have and not play it just to lose it to a Judge. Anyway, my opponent starts off by playing a Nest Ball. They go ahead and get a Genesect. I don't know yet if they're playing a Meloetta, like Fusion Strike build, or if they're playing DTE. So I'm pretty convinced that they're just going to go ahead and donk my Sableye until they play the DTE. Now, because they play DTE, I mean, I guess technically they still could if they were able to get down a Meloetta and play an Elisa Sparkle, because then they can attach the Elisa Sparkle energy, the Fusion Strike energy, to two of the, I guess, actually, no, they can't, because they have to attach to the Meloetta, because it has attack cost of 2. So, I was right the first time. Once they attach that DTE to the Mew, there is no way the Sableye gets donked. So that's really cool. We live to see another turn, and then my opponent playing the super clutch Judge. You saw my hand, nothing. It was unbelievable. And sometimes that happens with Lost Zone decks. Sometimes you just get those crazy, you play Mirage Gate, you have 3 Mirage Gates and 2 switch cards and an energy, and you start with a Cramorant or you start with a Sableye, and you're like, cool, I guess this is that's what I got for the game. So we get very lucky. My opponent plays the Judge, and I personally probably would have played the Ultra Ball there, get rid of the 2 power tablets, get another Genesect, try to draw a couple of cards, but that's just me. We do get a Comfey finally, and I can go ahead, Escape Rope. The Escape Rope ended up being huge. I noticed they didn't really have a ton going on. They didn't really develop their board, so Escape Rope was a nice play. The Comfey's Flower Selecting, we get 2 Nest Balls. Well, one of them has to go to the Lost Zone, and the other goes into our hand, but we play the second Nest Ball for another Comfey. So, now we can finally start to get things going. Once we really want to get a bunch of cards into the Lost Zone, but our deck plays Drapion, and when I used Nest Ball, I searched the deck and saw that, yes, Drapion is in fact in the deck, so that's really good. Now that we went ahead and played Nest Ball, I can just pass it off. I didn't pass it off to my opponent. I attached an energy and retreated and used the second Comfey's Flower Selecting. Look at the top 2 cards and put one into the hand. The other goes in the Lost Zone. Really wish I showed what those cards were, but I'm pretty sure it's a... one's a Clara, and I don't remember what the other one was. But it doesn't matter. I pass it off to my opponent, who goes ahead. They draw for turn. This is where the Genesect would have been really nice. They attach, they Elisa Sparkle, they get some energies in play, and then they draw a bunch of cards. But they go ahead, they Ultra Ball away, a Power Tablet, and a Choice Belt for a Mew VMAX. They're going to go ahead and get a Mew VMAX. I'm pretty sure I saw a Deoxys in there, or there's an Oricorio in there. They get the Mew VMAX, and they're only going to be able to draw, at the moment, no cards off this Genesect, right? Because they do have 2 cards or more into their hand, so really nothing's getting picked up unless they burn some stuff. So they can go ahead, play down the Mew, play the Power Tablet. They can go down to a 0-card hand with the Elisa Sparkle, but it doesn't feel very good to have to do that. So at least if they went ahead and used the Genesect last turn, they would have like some more possible play options. They can, use one Genesect to draw one card, or burn the Power Tablet, draw two, and then maybe they have the second Genesect to, play the Elisa. After they play the Elisa Sparkle, maybe they play another Ultra Ball, they find a Nest Ball, whatever, they Feather Ball, whatever. They can go ahead and make some more stuff happen. But there are the two Fusion Strike energies. Unfortunately for my opponent, they have to go to different Pokemon. Now, there's only two valid ones in play, so we know what two they're going to, but they're still not able to get this Genesect out of the active. So that is a little unfortunate for them. They would really like to take a KO here, but just getting the energies onto the Pokemon, they go ahead and draw one off of the Fusion Strike. It's another Mew. Again, I probably would have burned that Power Tablet just to draw an extra card. You have nothing going on, so that Power Tablet's not really helping you. And yeah, with that, they just go ahead and end their turn. So I get the draw, and I know I have a Raihan in hand. So we go ahead, Flower Selecting. We get rid of, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a Fire Energy. No, it's a Heavy Ball. We don't need the Heavy Ball because really the only Pokemon we want is Drapion, and I know what's in the deck, so we can get rid of that Heavy Ball. I attach an Energy, retreat, go into our other Comfey to Flower Selecting yet again. Now we got 4 cards in the Lost Zone, so Cramorant would be live if I ever had an opportunity to even find one, because yes, this deck does run... I know, it's crazy. This deck runs Chorus and Cramorants, and you just don't see any of it. But kind of thinking a little hard on what I want to keep. Do I want to keep something like this Fire Energy for later? Do I want to keep whatever the other card is? But ultimately, I get rid of the Fire Energy. Now, I know, I guess it was a Fog Crystal. We get the Fog Crystal, and I choose... You can see there is a Cramorant, all right? It's in the deck. I got Forest Hill Stone, Charizard in the deck, Drapion's in the deck. You can kind of see it sticking up a little bit on screen. I go with the Tempting Trap Mawile, and the reason I choose that is because I figure, well, if they use something like Cross Fusion Strike and attack with Techno Blast, knock out this Comfey or knock out whatever, I can go ahead, send up the Mawile, possibly power that thing up. I do run a Mirage Gate in this deck, or I have Raihan attached for turn to power this thing up, and then I can kind of trap it in the active to buy myself a turn. That's an option, and I'm kind of thinking about it as an option for after I use my first Drapion, but we'll get there. Pass it off, my opponent draws, and we are both taking a little while to set up, and this is where understanding when to scoop is so important, because in a best of one, you don't really need to scoop, right? You only get one chance, you might as well play it out, but in a best of 3, in this particular scenario, I would keep playing, because no one's really doing anything. But if my opponent had taken a couple of prizes already, I would have scooped a while ago. My opponent electing to go with the Cram-O-Matic instead of the guaranteed Ultra Ball, and they do hit it. They get the heads. If they didn't hit it, I mean, yeah, they could have drawn one with Genesect and still been able to Ultra Ball. So maybe actually, I think they only have one card in hand, so I don't know that they would have been able to. But they do get very lucky off of the Cram, 50% chance that they fail and really hurt themselves. But here they are. You really, as a Mew player, want to find that Cram turn 1 and discard something so you can find like a Battle VIP pass to really develop your board as soon as possible. But my opponent here really taking a moment to decide what they want. They can get any card they want. Do you get the guaranteed switch card? Do you go ahead and get a Genesect and try to establish your board for future turns? What would you have done? My opponent, they choose the Genesect, but if that was you, which would you have done? Would you have gotten the Escape Rope, or would you have gotten the Switch card? Would you have gotten a DTE, or a Second Fusion, or something to retreat this Genesect, and then you get a guaranteed attack with the Mew? Or do you go and take a chance on the Genesect and hope to draw into something? So my opponent does choose the Genesect. They Fusion Strike system, draw a couple extra cards. They're going to go ahead and bench another Genesect that they drew, which now it kind of looks like it was a pretty decent option, using both of the Genesect to, do that thing. So they go ahead, using their last Genesect for the turn, and they just get to draw 2 more cards or 3 more cards. I don't remember how. I can't see how many cards on hand. I was just guessing. I'll be honest. I was just guessing. My opponent decides to retreat. I tell them, no, you have to discard 2 energies to retreat, so they get rid of the DTE as well. I said, no, just the DTE is enough. You don't have to get rid of both. You don't have to get rid of 2 energy cards. You just have to get rid of 2 energy, and the DTE would be sufficient to fulfill the retreat cost. So could I have let them discard both? Yeah, but like, what's the point, right? So my opponent's hand, this is why we have to have a little bit of patience when not playing the Drapion. Could I have went and got the Drapion with the Nest Ball earlier and stuff? Yeah, I could have. But now they would have bossed it up, KO'd it, and I would have been in a lot of trouble. So here comes the Techno Blast off the Cross Fusion Strike, and they take their first prize of the game. First blood has been drawn, but I get to draw for turn, and now I get to make a pretty nice return KO, a really big up trade here. And it's super important that I get to do this. Flower Select, VIP Pass is like the easiest thing to choose off of the Flower Selecting. So we're going to go ahead, and now I get to play the Raihan. There it is. Raihan only works because of 2 things. One, my opponent knocked out one of my Pokemon during their last turn. That allows me to play Raihan. Then, I need to have an energy card in my discard pile that I can attach from my discard to one of my Pokemon. And that's what I'm explaining to my opponent right now. So, I got the Psychic Energies in there from the Manual of Retreats. Really cool that I did that. And I saw that play, right? I knew that was something I needed to do. And also, I didn't really have a ton of choices anyway. But now, because I met those 2 requirements, I can search my deck for any card I want. I searched for the Drapion. Why did I attach the energy to the Act of Comfy? Well, it's so I can retreat with it and go into the Drapion and attack. Drapion's attack is going to be so important in this game. So, I put the Mawile down as a potential trap. And I said I wanted to talk about it later, and this is a pretty decent time to talk about it. My idea was, I know I have the Raihan in play, and the Raihan's going to allow me to get the Drapion. They're going to probably knock out this Drapion, and I might need a turn or 2 to find a Clara to get the Drapion back. So, I figured maybe the Mawile with a Tempting Trap can keep them in the active for a turn because they can't retreat, and they won't be able to attack with Fusion Strike System, or because they use Technoblast, they can't attack during the next turn. So they get stuck in the active, and then they can't attack, and it kind of buys me a turn. That's kind of what I was thinking. This deck does run Mirage Gate, so I would be able to do it, assuming I ever got the 7 cards in the Lost Zone. And I'm just explaining what Wild Style's ability does. For each Fusion Strike, Rapid Strike, or Single Strike Pokemon my opponent has in play, my attack cost is 1 colorless less. And Dynamic Tail does take the KO because Mew is weak to Dark. 190 times 2 is 380, and now my opponent goes ahead and they are in a pretty precarious situation. You can see my hand. I have the Clara to get that Drapion back in case they do KO. They evolve immediately into the Mew VMAX. They attach a DTE. Interestingly, Cross Fusion Strike into Technoblast, because of DTE, does not KO the Drapion. So they have to find some damage modifier. They have to have a Choice Belt or a Power Tablet. One of the 2. And I know 2 of their Choice Belts are already in the discard. They probably don't play a 3rd. And I know at least 1 or 2 Power Tablets are in the discard. So my opponent plays the Power Pad to go ahead and get a Judge and at least a Sparkle back into the deck. They really, really need to do one of 2 things. They either A, need to play Lost City and KO the Drapion, so that when they do KO, it doesn't go into my discard, it goes into the Lost Zone and I can't get it anymore. Or they have to play Judge or Roxanne to really disrupt my hand and also KO the Drapion. No matter what, they have to KO the Drapion this turn. If they only do, and there it is, right? If they only do the 190, because DTE does reduce the attack cost, the attack damage by 20, that brings Technoblast from 210 to 190. It wouldn't be enough. So now they go ahead and draw a card off of the Fusion Strike system. They just get to draw, right? You gotta draw. You have to do your thing, right? You need to be able to make some plays. And just doing a little bit of math on how much it would KO, and unfortunately it does KO. They go ahead, they take 2 prizes now, so we're tied at 3 prizes each. However, because they didn't disrupt my hand, I have game. I can go ahead and play the Clara to recover the Drapion and an energy immediately. I just played that Clara down pretty quickly. I just wanted to make sure there was nothing I was missing. But you saw in my hand previously, I had the energies. I go ahead, I bench the Drapion, and I have energy. I have the switch card. Either way, I could just retreat into the Drapion and attack with Dynamic Tail for the KO and take my last 3 prizes. I put the 60 damage onto the Sableye, but either way, very well played by my opponent. And Drapion, it's really good.